Feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me move. You can make me move. Can make me. So alive, make it last forever. Stop in time, yeah, I'll surrender it. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies, all because of you. Dripping lights paint the skies, only you.
Put up. Uzi says what up. He puts in that vein, and they are going head to head now. But the idea is on the board. They're going to go for that vein. Fenerbahce is completely spelled this out. We are targeting Uzi.
And we were just talking to Rusty before the game here about the big signs just in front of the caster desk where all the fans are sitting asking, like, what's on these signs here? Who are these people? And apparently it is the Uzi fan club sitting over here. They went completely nuts as soon as he locked in that vein. Hopefully he can perform.
It's just like your traditional football matches. They'll start the chant, the rest of the crowd came in immediately afterwards. They're excited, and you can't help but feel excited when Uzi does lock in vein, but boy, do FB want to kill him quickly.
We're going to have to see. You remember, if RNG drop 2 games, there is a tiebreaker at the end of the day. If not, they're just going to be playing for seeding along the way versus Samsung Galaxy at the end of the day. Still some crazy things that can happen here in the group, but now Fenerbahce trying to get that win, trying to get that victory, a first for any Turkish team of the TCL here coming onto the world stage in the group stage format. We'll see if they can do it here. RNG ready to put up a fight.
Yeah, we know that the Turkish champions can definitely challenge these teams in the early game. We have seen that multiple times already. And again, when you draft a Vayne, you're not really looking to play super aggressive early. They want to get level 6 on Shahu, want to get level 6 on Uzi, and then maybe start making some plays around bottom side.
And that is the thing you're looking towards here. For FB to win this game at all, Crash needs to be able to make some work happen early on in the game. He's got a Rakantrus down in the bottom lane. Syndra's very good to gank for as well, though it is a Galio that you're going to be ganking if you had to choose. But they can unlock all of the map, kill bottom lane because their composition lets them. We just have to kind of find out how does Crash come about doing that.
Exactly, and also if Uzi will be on point with his condemns in this one, you can use it against a Rakan, maybe against a Gragas. Obviously, the flash engages from a Gragas, you can't really stop, but if you are very quick on this specific champion here, the Vayne, you can play very defensive. But again, you might be under a lot of pressure. Oh, they're gonna find Ming.
Hi, Ming. But Ming could also beat the bait. Shahu there. Little Winds of War to start things off. It doesn't look like anybody's roaming too hard for this. They're just figuring out where the line of scrimmage is actually flexing to.
Yeah, stopping each other from getting super deep and placing any deep vision. It's mostly just going to be around the river that you can see right now on the minimap where all of the bobbleheads are walking through there.
I think if you're RNG, you want to see if Crash is getting a red buff and then early ganking on the bottom side. Again, that's exactly what Clearlove did from EDG against RNG in the LPL final. They steal away some of the Raptors, who fall as well, and they have that little ward on the red buff. to see what's happening after the buff dies.
And 2 of the Raptors went to Frozen just as much as 2 went to Xiaohu. The biggest win here is that Crash doesn't get them, so it denies a lot of the experience, but both mid laners are now accelerated, and 1 wave will give them level 2, so they'll be trying to push and hard clear. Of course, Xiaohu comes out slightly ahead in that respect. There's no chance of Frozen bullying him out at all.
Moving up just for a ward to keep things safe. They know the early game from FB could be what is dangerous here. A lot of the games within this group have gone quite long. And as of now, looks like this one's going to start off pretty heated. Bot lane taking some damage back and forth as Ming tries to grab a little brush control.
As we mentioned in Champ, like the tumble here from Uzi to condemn as well, like multiple ways to try and avoid the engage from Japone. Bit of damage in mid lane as well from Frozen side, but we really just gotta look at Crash and see what he wants to do. MLXG can actually just look to counter gank in this game. He doesn't need to force anything. It's on the Gragas.
Certainly is. Of course, the last time we've seen MLXG running around on the Rift, he was going for full clears, trying to just get as far ahead in the jungle as he could. The enemy jungler started getting some ganks off, and things went a little bit awry.
Nice hit on the Ming. That's going to be the ignite down as well. Flash forward or hit forward from Patton on the rocket jump. They're going to get the extra damage in, get the explosive shot. The reset gets him out, and MLXG hovering on the side, looking for Japone. This could be the hit. A little bit of a quill heal, but is it enough? The follow-up kill and retribution coming in from Ming for RNG.
It's Uzi getting that kill for RNG here. I like the engage from FP first, though, to get a first one onto Ming here. You know the Vayne is not really going to be any threat against you, so nice all in. But because MLXG was around, he managed to go down and secure a kill for his AD carry.
Yeah, frankly, FB did the correct thing. They've got the lane to win the 2v2, especially at level 2. They have the ignite, so the advantage is theirs. If they get the engage off properly, they do. Everything looks great, but MLXG's smart pathing in this instance will get him to the bottom lane. The fact that he was there is very commendable from the Sejuani, but we get to see how this all started.
MLXG coming down already from the left side. That early ward on red lets them know Gragas up towards the top. No problem happening. Nothing else happening down here. And it's just an easy 1-2 for them after that kill.
And I think Patton maybe should just actually stand in front of his support there and block the Sejuani dash that happens. And then maybe he can save Japone. But it's so difficult in the moment because Patton doesn't want to die either. So no one actually wants to sacrifice each other here. And in the end, it is the support going down. 1 for 1.
Japone saying, we don't want any more of this. We're going to get an early ward out towards that mid side and make sure he can do a little bit of action with his AD carry out of the lane. Always nice to be able to work off the ball and make sure your team is always getting a few steps ahead, because that trading kills did give them a bit of a gold lead here. Still, even in mid, a little bit of a lead for Thaldrun in the top lane, and we haven't seen any jungler intervention there, as it is all about the bottom as we expected.
There's no Galio here, so MLXG is just being a pain, trying to keep his eyes on Crash, maybe steal away a camp or two. Like, Syndra will be there, significantly faster, but MLXG is just toying with its food, so to speak here, even without a Galio.
Well, close to these guys to 6, halfway there, so we're not going to expect a chomp from Let Me, but he is getting hit up pretty hard. Force the flash as he's under his turret now, and Thaldrun can come back pretty strong after this one if he wants.
I like that all in. Put the sapling in the brush as well for a bit of extra damage if it does connect, and force that flash from Let Me. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it's Xiaohu pushing, trying to get level 6 so he once again can protect the bottom lane, because right now, Uzi's sitting on almost 40 CS, 5.5 minutes into the game, so Vayne is not getting denied anything.
That's a good point.
And she even picked up a kill.
Not getting denied near enough. Whilst top lane may have flashed, he is still alive, and that's not really going to deny him anything because the minions were pushing in. Same thing applies in the bottom lane. RNG have been excelling at getting to the later stages of the game if teams let them get there. And even with the early aggression from FB's bottom lane in the 2v2, Crash wasn't there. Crash wasn't able to play his part. And suddenly MLXG is having more impact than him, and things have started to change. The dynamic is shifting.
I'm pretty sure MLXG was a little kind of surprised to see that Crash wasn't there as well, going down, figuring there'd be many ganks towards Uzi. So far, MLXG with the higher jungle proximity in that situation. 6 minutes in, FB still pushing on this lane to try and get that damage in.
It's also just a ton of defensive ward on the bottom side. And
yeah.
This bot line here from FB, gotta be careful because MLXG is in a river with double control ward. There is a level 6 Galio in the mid as well, so if you overextend without your flashes, you will just die. And you can see Xiaohu constantly moving down. This control ward and this little brush is important because he knows he can stand in that brush. And right now, if you're FB, all you can do is say, Galio is missing, careful, don't go aggressive.
And the thing is, they've got a Tristana, so they will always be pushing against the Vayne if they're both last-hitting minions just equally. So Pattern will continue to push in, and my expectations for RNG is that it will be a blue buff given over to Xiaohu, and at the blue buff timing, it may be a gank bottom instead. It's a very easy way to get your way into the bottom lane.
I see Pad falling about 10 CS behind, even if he cleans up that wave in lane. So RNG doing fantastically there. Xiaohu pushed up mid, and right now it just looks like things calm down. They want to actually see if maybe Fenerbahce will make the first move next or walk into all these wards that RNG has on the map right now.
Always a team effort to get rid of all the river wards here. You always want to get a push in mid, so your mid laner can move down with the jungler, kill the wards just around the mid lane, and then later on when your bot lane can push safely, they can take the control wards on their side of the river down here near the bottom lane. But before you can do that, well, you kind of just rely on the enemy team not doing anything aggressive, and it seems like RNG are happy farming, which they should be, because Xiaohu are not trying to overforce anything.
They're choosing not to go for any kind of big plays. I saw the ping from FB straight towards the blue buff around the timing we mentioned before, but MLXG is on the top side of the map doing his croaks, so he's not going to be even close.
And I want to ask you, Rusty, as the LPL expert here, through MLXG's career, have you ever felt like there were moments where he was just like super patient and always just about vision and counter ganking? Or was it always about just pure ganking? Because that's how I remember MLXG.
Yeah, I don't think it's really changed until this tournament, where I feel like he started to have a mentality shift. There were moments where he was playing to counter gank when Uzi wasn't on the team, but that is the best I think we have seen from him, and that was during the Rift Rivals phase. He looked good doing it. Xiaohu was a star player during it, but now the meta has changed once again. MLXG seems to have changed with it for the first time.
And it's actually good to see you have to be able to adapt on the world stage, especially in a best of one. And we've seen that RNG has been able to come in quite strong in this event with, you know, EDG being thought to kind of be that one that was going to power through everything. Big surprise here from these swap. Crash could be able to walk out in just a second. Bot lane was actually MLXG, but it looks like they're going to stay and probably get a little bit of dragon control.
As soon as RNG realized they've lost the river, they just take it back instantly.
Oh no, that's actually unfortunate.
Ah, come on, it's even in the circle right there. That's unfair.
Worst disco ball ever.
It's like they trade sides. Passing through, more ward cleared, knows there's some towards the top side, and RNG is doing a great job at keeping all this vision. It stops Crash from getting back into the game, and it stops them from getting anything for Padden in that bot lane.
And speaking of that vision though, Riv, there is an awful lot of it from FB. It's not just that it's getting all cleared out, they have so many wards in different places that it's impossible for RNG to remove them all because they're not level 9 with the moving sweepers available. So they're picking their areas, and they've done it well enough to be okay.
He can sneak into the next one. That was actually really smart. I didn't do it, damn it.
It was.
I thought
I agree.
was going to move in, body slam into the next brush. He wouldn't have been noticed by the ward, but instead he recalled. So that could have been sneaky, but instead it is just the standard 2v2 in the bottom lane.
A few shots from Uzi, getting that third bolt in. Looks like they're going to get a quick hit over. MLXG was planning this one before. They think nothing is there because of the ward right through the uprights.
Wow, that is unfortunate for MLXG, but also well done from FB to avoid it in their own unique ways.
Absolutely.
Tristana's ability to jump out saves her. Rakan's mobility as well is a gift for him, and they survive it. They get rid of MLXG's ultimate. He also has no mana, so he's going to go back to base, and he showed himself on the other side of the map.
I think they took an idea from that, heading towards the top side. Rupture onto one, body slam just missing, and they push Let Me back to his turret.
Never use both abilities instantly right there, because if you just land one of them first and then force the flash from the Cho'Gath after, you can then of course follow up here, especially with your ulti from Crash. But he tried to combine the body slam flash stun into a knockback. Sadly for him, Let Me is fast enough to just flash away, and you actually end up looking quite foolish and wasted everything.
Ultimately, what I will say for Crash in that case is he chose not to flash to try and do a clean just 2-spell combo. So he holds on to it, and he will have it for the next engage they choose to make, and that'll be up sooner than Let Me's flash himself.
My poor brain saw the flash and was like, ah, that's Gragas. No, that was Cho'Gath.
Well, yeah.
That was Cho'Gath. You are 100% correct. Instead, Crash, happy with the flash, as you said.
Bot lane getting pushed in by Padden and Japone. Looks like they're trying to keep a little bit of pressure on here for Crash to come in. The ward comes over
Teleports
and alerts RNG. Teleports are up, and it looks like both are in range to do so.
It's so risky though, they're going for it.
Galio's gonna head towards the bot side. That's gonna be Thaldrin going in. Let Me comes as well. As I said, they cannot stop each other at that range.
Whoa.
And it's gonna be the big hit coming in. Wins a war into Shahu's knockup. And the rest of the damage coming in from Uzi and Let Me.
You can't do this against the Galio, and of course TP from the Cho'Gath. It's too late for FB to start diving the bottom lane. Everything was ready from RNG side to defend it. It was almost too easy.
Yeah, it felt very simple from RNG to be able to defend that bottom lane outer turret. Gragas didn't even have the cask. He's just going to go coast to coast and try and start
the flash, though.
He definitely had his flash. Not anymore, Deficio, because he has to try and flash away. And damage control after a very weird start. And RNG just get everything.
Great blade finish as well for Uzi. As we take another look at this, it seemed like FB was on point, but that early ward alerted RNG.
And it's just onto the support. They're engaging here. Uzi staying so far back. RNG reads the play. They can see everyone moving to that bottom side from mid and from the jungle side. And, well, they're ready.
Yeah, they give the kill to Uzi. They introduce FB to the bouncing castle in the bottom lane as well. And the condemn from Uzi stopped the body slam flash from Gragas. Didn't actually come out at all.
Rage Blade from Uzi as well. First item. I've seen a lot of Infinity Edge into the double heal from Vaynes. I've seen the old Blade with Rune King as well. Rage Blade in this game though, for him with the Ardent Sensor, massive power spike on one item. And
yeah.
Just like when you play like the Varus here, as long as you can continue getting auto attacks off, it's a lot of damage.
Again.
This is round 2 now.
Rinse and repeat. Teleport coming in. They say Uzi, Ming, stay. Let's go. Xiaohu's coming down here. The teleport was used from Let Me so he can stay topside, and he's going to have to fight with Thaldrin. And it looks like they have the pressure here and won't lose too much in mid, and they stop the turret from going down.
Yeah, Uzi has to get his last hits, man. It takes a teleport, but they will make sure he gets it. Everything that the Vayne wants is going to belong to him. That is how RNG have designed their composition, and now they go aggressively.
Ooh, third hit. Now Padden's left face-to-face with Uzi. A back and forth. I like that he's trading before just jumping out. These are going to be some great fights.
So barrier ready for Uzi in case he needed it, but this is what we see so often when Ardent Sensor is completed on one side, and also Rage Blade, which is stronger as one item compared to IH. You can just go aggressive, play around the lane, take that tower, and just snowball the game. Even
in an equal trade, the healing that comes out of the Ardent Sensor starts to mean too much in the end.
Yep.
Just fighting the 2v2, not knowing where MLXG is, knowing that Xiaohu is always just around the corner as well, means what is effectively a 2v2 gives the first turret to RNG.
And we see Japone a clip just a slight bit off of being able to get his Ardent. They head towards topside. This gives RNG so much time to work that composition wherever they want now. And it's going to be that strong once again as they hit the top side of the map. Here it looks like they're not actually going to be rotating. MLXG towards bot side, and Uzi's going to keep going.
Let Me has lost his flash twice in this game. The first time it was just a 1v1, no one ganked him after. He got the flash ready, got ganked again, lost it. Now it's almost up a third time, but crashes here before it happens, forcing Let Me off, not able to kill him. Meanwhile, in the bot lane though, RNG is pushing.
Yeah, they've been set up the vision. You can see that on the mini-map. They've got a straight line back towards safety if they would like, and they've got the tempo completely. FB will only be able to get the one turret, you would have to imagine, for this trade. RNG come out ahead again.
Oh, they might look for more up here. They have Tristana as well, but it's only 3 guys pushing. TP is not available from Thaldrin's side, so he can't actually join the fight. They have to just back away. Riftel is also available, but after pushing all the way into that tier 2 tower, you end up spending a lot of your time on just pushing the waves and not actually starting the objective.
Yeah, it took them so long to get that top lane outer turret that RNG were able to re-establish themselves now in a side lane. Uzi's gone for a QSS for the record as well. Doesn't want to die.
Very fast.
Knows that the team will protect him, and that does mean that things like the Rift Herald that you mentioned, Deficio, can be looked at by the opposing side of RNG more than FB.
Yeah, they can just push out top lane right now. They want to look for 2v2s against this Tristana lane. When you have the Rage Blade on Vayne, you pass level 6 as well, so your 1v1 abilities is fantastic.
And this is the tab test. Have FB pressed tab and seen the QSS, or have they looked at their own items and said we have the Infinity Edge Ardent Sensor, we can 2v2? That's the real question.
Uzi right now 1,200 gold above Padden, basically his living in that Quicksilver sash, and the rest of the gold for the team setting up towards the top side, ready to pick just one off. I don't think anybody's crazy enough to walk into that brush though.
And And it's really just gone all wrong here in the early game for the Turkish champions. They were supposed to try and gank Uzi and shut him down.
Well, speaking of wrong,
Frozen getting caught out. He's going to be able to flash over the wall. Stun, cleanse as well. But flash and cleanse down means he is a huge target, and RNG gains so much control in the mid lane.
Exactly, and yeah, now it's RNG with the ganks instead, forcing flashes, and it's Uzi sitting on 2 kills because FB didn't get the early ganks. They didn't win for the tower dive, which was way too predictable and too late in the game against the Galio comp, and it cost him quite a lot. And MLXG is playing around his top side. Uzi is insanely strong already and just wants to constantly trade with the enemy team.
Xiaohu's level 12, so he can definitely come in here, Riv. There could be a fight.
He is slowly walking up. Pad and Japone with a little bit of ticks on their health, I feel like, are making RNG hungry enough. Blood in the water towards the top side of the map, 3-1, and RNG's making a look. Those kills go up. They're gonna back off for now. Things are very edgy right now at this point. They can't figure out if they want it or not.
It's important to remember that Frozen has to walk a very long route to get to the top side. Okay, a Xiaohu. MLXG's coming, there's no flash.
1v1s, no doubt about that. How about adding MLXG? They're gonna be hitting up Frozen. Big target, flash and cleanse down. And they come back for that one.
Even Letby's there, just in case the tanks couldn't quite kill him themselves, and that is such an unfortunate timing. RNG now set up in the middle lane. They can go to the Rift Herald at the same time. You're seeing that now from them, and that Rift Herald can be used to break top if they choose. Crash is already defending mid. There's just everywhere for FB going wrong.
It's a very smart play around the mid lane specifically, because what Xiaohu is doing is when he's going towards the top side, he forces Frozen to path to top side as well. But there's no flash and there's no cleanse, so once Xiaohu goes back to his lane, he knows he's never going to get pushed out because this Syndra's constantly trying to roam as well and defend. Yeah. So when he just goes back, he's like, okay, there's the Syndra. Well, she's really easy to kill, and they're constantly pulling FB between mid and top lane.
The age-old question as well is, did Xiaohu miss the E on purpose to dodge the stun? Or did he expect a juke? We'll never know, but it worked.
Always. It's a choose your own adventure, whatever one you want. Whatever one makes you feel better. 183 to 155 in CS for that bot lane. And watching where Uzi is positioning in these fights as they make their way back towards the top side and continue farming it out. Everything pretty much in those first items in everybody's inventory. But I think they were aware of the Quicksilver Sash, it seemed, in that fight. Everybody was quite hesitant to go in from the side of Fenerbahce and RNG. However, not onto Frozen, still playing a bit aggressive with those summoners down. Well,
I feel bad for Frozen because he's playing Syndra. You want to burst squishy targets. So look at the enemy team there. Choga and Sejuani Galio, 3 unkillable champions basically. And then there's a Lulu adding even more HP to these different tanks. So,
well, you know you have to click then, right?
I guess,
you only have one target to click still.
You can try and burst down the Lulu if you want to, because killing Uzi, he's so far back with barrier as well. That should be almost impossible for Frozen. Laner from this team just can't have
crash. Xiaohu not wanting it. Looks like they're just going to be getting aggressive for the blue here, taking that away from Frozen, would just continue to deplete his resources and mental throughout this game. Still holding strong though, 200 CS to 190 of Xiaohu in a pretty tough mid lane.
Yeah, he's been farming quite well. Frozen will be able to steal the blue buff away, I guess. It's his own blue buff, but he'll press W on it.
Steal his own blue buff.
He stole it.
From the situation.
Yes, he evacuated that one. And he'll be able to hold mid lane decently well because he has that blue on top of everything else. However, RNG, with this many people able to group up and pressure, it's going to be harder to hold now.
All right, looks like they're just going to push this one in. Just outside of the taunt range is Crash. Bringing up the Rift Herald's going to bring that down. Just about done. A few more hits, and it is a little too close for comfort. Crash, and it looks like he may go down. Japone now in the middle of the fight. Gets the battle dance back to Padden, and it looks like MLXG wants 3, but he goes down in favor of Padden. Xiaohu taking turret shots, and Thaldrin does the same as he goes down. Vayne is going to get that kill as Uzi picks one up. Let me chomps down on the members of FB, and Uzi will not stop, and he gets the exit from Padden.
They get all the kills right now. It looked like a fight FB maybe could try and turn around, but killing these tanks is just so difficult. And in the back line, they're sitting this Vayne, dealing damage non-stop.
For a whole second, I think FB might have had that one, and then RNG just proved to be too strong. Honestly, just proved to be too far ahead already, and we're only at 21 minutes into this game. Through basic laning right now, they get the inhibitor mid.
Backing out, happy with that one, and what a turn to the game. As soon as they were coming onto the mid turret, I was going to ask you guys, as we watch this. You know, how do FB get back in? Who do they ult in this situation, if you can?
I mean, you're hoping that you have enough CC and Uzi to maybe burst him down with the Syndra, but Frozen is just constantly kept busy with 3 tanks in his face.
Yeah, Uzi actually got CC'd 4 times consecutively, chose to QSS only the last one to get into the fight. But by the time he joined the fight, RNG had already won it. So he just comes in, picks up the table scraps, gets some nice kills and an exit. Compliments of Pattern, of course, in the end. And still did an abundance of damage, but the tanks set it all up because the tanks are ahead.
Cho'Gath, MLXG, Sejuani, Xiaohu on the Galio, making it look easy. But really, they are positioning very well here to make sure Uzi can get what he needs in these fights. FB hasn't had the chance to even really turn and look at this Vayne throughout the game so far. 8-2 here, 22 minutes in as RNG extend that lead to 10K and are looking to position for Baron.
So I like the Void Staff rush for Frozen here, knowing that, okay, maybe it's actually not about killing Uzi in the back, but instead kill the first tank in the front and see maybe if you can do anything against it. This is a very quick Baron, obviously going down when you have a Rage Blade and a Cho'Gath. You can always feast it in the end. Nothing Fenerbahce can actually do to stop it, and they just have to surrender another big objective.
It was such an influx of gold in the early part of the game. The fact that he got that Rage Blade, they said, pack speed, let's bring it up to the second turret as well. Took the second tier turret down as the first tier top turret was getting taken. They've just been a few steps ahead each time, and it really all comes down from knowing where Crash was and stopping any of his early action.
And we've seen 2 special picks now this tournament that really need to scale into the late game. Nasus up in the top lane, obviously, from Khan. We have now seen their Vayne from Uzi, and both times they had a Galio mid lane. And the Galio mid lane just prevents teams from playing aggressive against side lanes when that ulti from Galio is ready, because he's so quick to join and just provide extra defense. And it makes it easier for these picks that don't really want to just fight early on, but just wants to farm.
Yes, including even the Samsung game last game, when you're comparing 2 hyper carries, it's fair to always just say the team with the Galio, even if the hyper carries are equally as strong, should be able to survive and win that team fight just because of the ultimate that Xiaohu in this case will be able to have, let alone the distance that he can cover, the fact that he can side lane and rotate.
And don't get me wrong here, like, I would love to see Xiaohu on some big carry picks, and he can really show, you know, the strong performance from the summer split in the LPL, but the fact that it is a meta with Ardent Sensor and you can rely on your AD carry and your mid laner can take more of a backseat is definitely not a bad thing for RNG. It just doesn't make Xiaohu look like, you know, one of the absolute best players in the world, because he doesn't have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is also a world where LPL teams getting Galio is just the best thing for the LPL, let alone talking about what Galio does for anyone else. Galio Jarvan was just a staple in our league for quite some time.
RNG approaching the front of the base on 2 fronts now. I would say Letme's actually already in. And RNG in the bot side with 4 members here. Rally Cowl's on. They're lost to G2 earlier. Says we're going to be doing better. Look at all that magic resistance. Righteous Glories as well. It only means go. And it's just a matter of when they want to push the button at this point.
Very soon.
Quick reminder here, if RNG wins this game, they guarantee quarterfinals. And they make sure that they have this last game against Samsung, end of the day, where they fight for first place.
Yes.
Very important, obviously, to lock down first, so you can avoid teams like Longshu and SKT in that first quarterfinal.
But if RNG lose,
if RNG lose this one, then G2 still have a chance to actually make this
but
fight. See it.
It doesn't look like Xiaohu and Let Me want that to happen. Damage down onto Depone as he was down, and it's Crash Patton jumping back. They can't get away from the damage. As RNG is relentless inside the base, hits up and takes down Frozen. Now eyes on Thaldron as Patton is kiting too far away, and almost onto the fountain goes Uzi for another kill. Thaldron very, very low, and it looks like he will fall. Uzi picks up another one.
RNG have all of the kills they need but Patton, and it feels like they should be able to end the game unless Uzi wants to dive the fountain. Don't count that as a possibility. They should just get this clean.
25 minutes in. They bring out the Vayne. Uzi brings out the pain, and RNG are going to look to win over FB, making it 4-1 in the group.
I am so happy we got to cast an Uzi Vayne game where he basically had to farm in the early game, stay alive, and then complete one item, and then they could just start fighting around the Vayne. And he ends with 6 kills, and it looks like he was the main carry, but honestly, this was about the big tanks in the front line. They made his life so RNG. Obviously, it's all over, and tough then to walk on stage 5 minutes later and then have to play a game.
Yeah, definitely a tough ask, but of course what we do have from G2 Esports is a whole lot of engage so far, something that you'd want to see from this side if you're expecting them to stamp the foot down and try and take apart FB.
Find that victory.
Okay.
Crash and Thaldron locking in the Lulu and the Sejuani.
Don't you dare.
Padden going back to the tried and true Tristana.
You gotta show respect, you know. Once you've been beaten by the Vayne, you gotta show some respect.
Show the hover love.
Don't know if a 5-minute turnaround is enough to perfect Vayne, just like Uzi can manage.
Yeah, just build a range play, protect him in the bottom lane, and then you're fine. It's gonna be okay. Good
no one listen to Deficio. It's not that easy. Do not play that.
Come on, it's Vayne. I want... Well, no, Sven is already playing Varus, so that's not a possibility.
Japone and Padden already have their bot lane locked in. We have to figure out what Fenerbahce Esports wants to do with the rest of the Sejuani here. They're finding a Syndra ban from Frozen, much of what he carried throughout the play-in stage with, and teams have just been taking it away from him over and over.
Up to a Yasuo.
Yeah, I was about to say it. When there is a Jarvan already, like, that's a strong combination, especially after level 6. And there is the possibility of last picking the mid laner. They can just go blind Cho'Gath.
That's what I was going to say, Cho'Gath. You need knockups. Knockups everywhere.
Maokai works as well.
Rise taken away from Perks. Final ban here coming for G2 Esports. Corki from Frozen. All right, so a final ban here. Looking at possibly Perks again. Already have the 80 carries hit up and Trick Cycle.
You have to wonder if FB will ban another mid laner knowing that G2 have the first rotation here. It's not a bad idea to still get rid of one. Let's say, as long as Frozen has some champions still available to him.
And we know he can play Echo, you know, worst case for him, but Syndra is banned, so that won't be a possibility. Showing a bit more respect over to Uzi's Vayne as well, but we've seen this quite a lot where you ban 4 mid laners in that second phase, and there's still so many good ones left. Like, things like Talia is available in this draft, and most teams in Worlds would be like, oh yes, we want to pick Talia whenever she's available because she's just so good, but they are saving that last pick for Perks.
Let's go.
Come on, that's another knock-up. You got even Gana Tornado.
There's no reason not to play it now, let's be honest.
So much love right now. Brought out the Uzi, and everybody's just oozing. What do we have here? Padden and Japone to lock in for Frozen and Thaldron.
He's been playing a lot of Maokai up in the top lane. You might as well do it again, unless you want to counterpick the Cho.
That's not a good reason.
With that Trundle.
Come on.
He seems to like it a lot, at least. And wow, he did it!
Shocking.
Oh my word.
Never saw it coming.
There we go. Hey, Talia as well.
Thaldron is the Maokai guy, if you watched any of the play-ins as well. He is the flashiest Maokai you'll ever see on Summoner's Rift because he will W to dodge spells to last hit minions. He makes it work.
Give it at Yasuo! You can all into Talia! Just do it, Perks! You promised us this Yasuo, you have the comp to do it! Yes, it is! He gets to do it!
We've got ourselves a Yasuo in the middle lane with the composition, as we've mentioned already, built completely for it.
Kobe just ran out to the castle and screamed at us that apparently Perks promised him that it was the Yasuo pick, but he's promised both of us, so Kobe doesn't get that one alone.
All I'm hearing is Perks promised, and it was
promised to a lot of people. He's been walking around selling this Yasuo here.
He has hovered this pick every single game in his career, and he's never picked it.
I will say with him, you know,
Possibly
promising
every single game. Sounds better.
definitely didn't hover it every single game. I can say that for sure. I don't even remember if he
really
played
good.
it last year, but yeah, it was a big statement. We should make more big statements like that. He dreams of the Yasuo every night, and he wants to play it on the big stage. He gets his chance now. Sadly for him, when he actually did promise it back then to both Kobe and me, it got nerfed right after. It was like Riot heard him. They're like, no, nerf that stuff. We don't want to see that.
Makes you wonder if when Rookie played Yasuo a 1 month ago, it actually unlocked the gates and Perks realized that there's a world where it works because Yasuo won in that game in 24 minutes.
Faker's also been spamming it in solo queue, so maybe he wants to play it too, but Perks, he gets the first stab at it.
I think we're going to see a lot of bang, boom, and a lot of
pow, pow.
Pow, pow, explosion. Whole lot of things in this game, and I cannot wait for it to start. We're almost onto the Rift. 1907 Fenerbahce versus G2 Esports. And we're going to have their final matchup here in group stages as we see what we have for each other.
Reminder, of course, that this game doesn't actually affect the standings at all for both of these teams. They're not going to be playing to get into the quarterfinals. That has already been locked. So that is why we might be seeing something like a cleanse Yasuo in the middle lane for Perks with a comp built around him for exactly that. There is a world where it can still win. I'm not going to discredit that.
I mean, we have like 9 super serious picks here, and that tells me this Yasuo is also legit. Like, there is no troll picks in this draft.
Is that the logic we're going to use?
That's the logic we're going to use. This Yasuo is now meta. Probably S tier.
At least S tier.
If he wins here, he's undefeated. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm going to hold you to that. I'm ready to see this. Neither of these teams make it through, but Yasuo stays. You're a bold man.
There you go. Again, I kind of think Faker wants to play it as well. Unless it's only for solo queue he's using.
I mean, there's another champion that he has been playing in solo queue as well, and that is Diana, which is one of the things we will be looking at. The question is, when will Faker play something like that when all of your AD carries are running out of sensor, and you kind of want to help protect them? This is
a common courtesy amongst professional mid laners.
Perks is telling him a tale of old.
Yeah. Beautiful story of ice and pain.
2 circle recalls, didn't know that.
There you go. Learn something new every day, even as professional casters.
Nah, that every recall's a circle rip.
See what the start is here. No vision onto the start of G2 or for FB, so they can go off to a pretty scary start if they want to. Junglers will be swapping sides, however, so we may not see their interaction right off the bat. And this mid lane we'll keep an eye on as well.
Well, there's a...
Oh, never mind.
There's already a trick here.
That was a respect flash.
Very big respect flash from Frozen. J4 can, of course, use the flash combo to cover some extra distance, and you would say he was in flash range.
Yeah, I respect the respect flash from him, staying safe for now. Perks obviously just wants to, in the early game, get as many levels as possible, hit level 6, combine it with Trick, going all in on the mid lane, and then Taliyah should die in that exchange. And it's very tough for Crash to help with Taliyah because their 2v2 around mid is just straight up weaker than what's going to happen from G2's side.
Yeah, the one big advantage Frozen will start to get is around the level 6 point, or more around like the Lost Chapter purchase when he can start to control the middle lane and clear those minions. The thing is he can roam, and Yasuo's never really going to excel at roaming. More often throws himself under the turret of the opposing team.
Yeah, happens quite a lot.
Pressure them. Creating space, of course.
From solo queue, a lot of experiences with the Yasuo players tend to go top lane and tend to never leave the lane except for when they die, and they are obviously stuck in the fountain, which is roughly half of the game time they're spending
by
there.
Stuck in the fountain?
They can't get out.
They can't get out because they're busy like writing in chat, obviously, about how it's your fault they're dying in top lane.
Oh, Trick. I mean, Perks, rather, and Frozen back and forth. Trick just below with Crash.
Oh!
It's going to be the 1-2, and it's actually the kill coming in. Trick just in range execution. No, it was the hit already from Crash. And the back and forth as Perks takes a hit right to the backside from Crash. They back off of that one. Thaldred now very low as he tries to slalom through the minions, but that is his defense as well.
I love when we have the big fight to mid and we cut straight to the big fight, and top lane is 2 tanks hitting each other. No one is actually doing anything. But Perks, he had that one on his own. Trick, though, he really wanted to help in the end. And again, that's fair enough. And he was part of it. Sadly for G2, Triggers ended up dying.
Yeah, he found himself a Sejuani on the way through to the middle lane, and Crash just had to auto-attack him 4 times, lock him down under the turret, and I believe it was 3 turret hits that Trick tanked on his way through, which is what kills him in the end.
A little hello and to-do. We'll see this one more time. A relentless G2 to get their first blood in the game before losing one.
Yeah, this was the first trade where Frozen got a lot of damage early on, but then Perks returned it, and with, of course, the knock-up ready, goes all in for cleanse for the exhaust, and Trick just makes it in there, but ends up tanking all these different turret shots, and that kills the jungler. Perks stays alive, though.
Yeah, good from Crash nonetheless to be there, of course, to be able to secure that kill onto Trick, and Perks, it was effectively that 1v1. I will give him that.
This tweet from the end of the regular summer split here. So
Did promise it, yeah. Did hover it multiple times, obviously. I should highlight it also. Down the bot lane, Sven take a lot of damage.
Still want the fight, though. They have the minions in their favor. Piercing arrow shot over towards Padden. It looks like that rocket jump is down. Summoners are up for both sides, so it could have gotten a little more aggressive. Crash now moving into the jungle as Perk starts to get pushed around a little bit after his back.
Still kind of waiting for level 6 around that mid lane for Perks. There's no flash right now on Frozen, but it should be ready in time. And obviously, again, running cleanse for Perks, double value, because one, you can use against like a Sejuani engage, but two, you can use against the exhaust coming down. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, they've just been kind of farming against each other. Not a whole lot happened down here.
Now, Triss Lulu, though, going equal to a Varus Janna just means that Varus' lane presence as a champion does actually mean a fair deal in that 2v2, it seems. Ven obviously playing it quite well to be able to even be 4 CS ahead of his opponent.
And obviously for him, you rushed the Rage Blade onto Varus and you rushed the Infinity Edge on Tristana. So as we said last game, like once you get the first full item completed as an AD carry and there's Ardent Sensor next to you, it's a bigger power spike for the Varus. And it's easier for G2 to play around that bot lane if they're not too busy constantly sitting in mid for Perks.
Good vision here onto Crash. We see Trick going somewhere towards the top side, knowing this pressure bottom would relieve that. It looks like Crash actually wants to get over to the other side of the jungle as well, so both junglers thinking the same thing, opposite sides of the map.
Yeah, Trick looking perhaps more for ganks than just the counter jungling. Crash is playing a bit more slowly, trying to get into the jungle just as much as perhaps some ganks. More so countering, however, what Trick is trying to do. Level 6 is a big concern, as Deficio has mentioned, through the middle lane, so I like that Crash is now working with his team to try and get Vision down. Here we go.
Frozen stuck out. Whoa, Perks being able to get the damage down, knocked backwards. Here comes Crash. This is where it gets tough. Cleanse down, dodges out on Sejuani's ultimate. Beautifully done. But here's the damage now. Trick's gonna get the pop-up just in time. Saves him from Crash. Perks through the other side. Padden with one shot and the wind wall down. Perks is the same. Trick finds himself in a sticky situation, and he is gonna get locked down one more time. Padden comes in, and pop goes the Trick. Frozen coming up with that one.
So in the end, 2 members die here from G2's side. It all started with the 1v1 between Perks and Frozen. But then quickly, Crash showed up, Padden roamed as well, and very, very early on, we kind of realized this was not going to be a kill for the Yasuo, but instead, a few kills over to FB.
And you know why? It's because he ulted straight away. Used the tornado and stay close to them. He might have had a better time here with some follow-up presence, but Yasuo uses everything early and crashes right here. Of course, a nice cleanse, however.
Of course, but again, when you are a Yasuo player, you have to just look at the one member in front of you and ignore the map. So, despite his own jungler being on the other side and basically not having any idea of where Crash would be.
Ping, did they?
They didn't ping, yeah, there you go. Suddenly, he just gets, 2v1 then 3v1 in the end and ends up dying. Could have just taken an early trade with the ult and walked out, but had to go for the all-in.
3-1 now. FB starts it off with 1 to Crash, Frozen, and Padden, so across the board is quite nice to kind of get a little bit of gold in each lane, and maybe FB can start pushing that forward in each spot as well. Only seems to be out a few hundred for each.
Yeah, everything will once again calm down just that little bit more, even with the gold being fairly close between these teams. You are waiting for ultimate cooldowns, and that still exists once again for the side of G2. They can go towards the middle lane as Trick is 6. The capabilities of going for a play starts to increase ever more.
And now moving towards the Phantom Dancer as well as the first item here on a Perks side. Ulti is ready once again in case they want to force something. You can see Trick is constantly around this mid lane. They need that knock up, but there's a flash on Frozen side.
Like they're just going to walk through, feel okay with this, say, let's use this time to clear some of this vision out. I believe I know where a pink ward is.
And that's the thing. So these two, whilst it might be pressure around the middle lane, as long as they're staying as 2, there is pressure. So whether it's clearing mid lane, pressuring Frozen, he's got a blue buff, and trying to stop him from just pushing Yasuo onto turret and then leaving, always going to be a possibility. And that's where Crash's role in this game is very important, to find where everybody is.
And he's done a good job so far. You know, he's been protecting around the mid side, pick up that first kill on Trick, and then we had to fight before we got another one. We'll also contest the blue buff, even gets it.
It was Trick that spoke. It was like a 2 health smite, I think, as well. Very unfortunate for the J4, but this unlocks FB to look towards the bottom lane with Talia roaming. Was a window that's completely gone now, though.
They were getting the vision control. Looks like they'll actually have to back off of that. But for now, say thanks for the blue denying that Not a big deal from Perks. He can still get his farm out in the mid lane. Just has to be careful against Frozen, who actually does have one. He's pushing him in.
And it will happen again. That's the thing. Frozen now, he's got the blue, he's got the Lost Chapter, he's got control of middle lane. Perks didn't go for Ignite. He's only 80% solo queue. His cleanse will keep him alive, but it means that he can't all in and control the mid lane just as much. So Frozen is actually unleashed to help the rest of the map, and as a result of that, it's not just Frozen that is unlocked.
Yeah, Patton and Japone down the bot lane, not having any issues, just constantly pushing in the lane and teaming up with Crash. Full vision on the bottom side. Top, not a lot is happening, but they don't need to. It's just two tanks facing each other, so it's all about the two junglers looking for the next gank, and then if Perks can find that all in. We've seen him try a few times now. Trick gets smacked in the head by a Rift Herald.
Tried to joust the Herald. It's not going to work in your favor.
I like the Herald move here. I feel like we're going to get a really long laning phase if something like this doesn't happen, with just ganks back and forth fights in the middle of the map. Trick's actually going to back off of this for now. Just actually bring it along.
Oh, he's bringing his pet.
Yeah, come on. We're okay.
Frozen is doing something very smart here. Because he has all the vision on bot side, like, easy communication from his team is like, okay, we don't see the jungler on bottom side, just stay down there. Literally just stay down to the near the river, near your own raptor camp, so in case the enemy jungler shows up, there's a great chance you can just walk into your own jungle, and then you should be safe.
Get here?
No one knows.
Talia, here comes Frozen.
Probably gonna die for
out of nowhere. There's the rupture. Oh, Nature's Grasp. A little too far away. I thought he was going to get some cat hugs there, but no go.
No, Expect has the blast cone, so he'll be able to get out in the end, but FB have also swapped their lanes around. They're going to still look for him.
Well, blam! Well, that was a little lackluster. Still going to come in. Good tank for Crash. Frozen was like, I'm coming. Got to surf the walls here, and they pick up the kill on Expect. His flash was down, so that was a quick pickup as Trick does not ult. Crash almost could have got a few shots in there, but you saw him easily jump over the wall.
Good move again here with Crash always setting it up here for FB. Very active in the early game, and G2 trying to defend. They're currently falling behind in gold. They've lost the Infernal Drake as well, and the Yasuo in the mid lane is not snowballing just yet. It's actually Frozen sitting with 2 kills, and he can go towards an Hourglass as well. With Exhaust plus Hourglass in team fights, he might just be safe enough.
Yeah, one big point to look towards if you are G2 is just getting the Merc treads onto Perks, so magic resistance, and something that helps with their dueling. And until that point, I like what G2 are trying to do, and that's just extend the laning phase, like you mentioned, or something they may want to continue doing, just because their lanes are doing reasonably well. CS advantage in the 2v2.
Yeah.
So Patton, he's not going to have the item spike timing at the same time as Ven, especially with the CS deficit. And so FB to go around this and trying to get structures down and accelerate the turret taking game. G2 are matching.
Oh, face-to-face hits. There's Sven.
Oh my god, he buried
Holy
late.
moly, that's one more shot coming in. The shield, though. Chain of Corruption comes back. Sven with a huge heal. Monsoon comes out now. I have no idea how this fight is continuing with all the heals fit in the mid lane now as Crash is getting hit up. Steel Tempest used from Perks, so they can't really get the knock up again until Trick comes back into the fight. That was missed. Perks has to wait now and charge that up again, and they keep losing the entry into that fight.
There was 2 fights lost here for G2. No one died, but it was actually FB here winning the early trade. Sven did not expect the burst damage that came in. Late barrier. Shield coming in as well from Mithy to actually bait out FB to jump in again after. Meanwhile in the mid lane, because advantage not in favor of G2. Crash is so strong at this point, and so is Frozen. They took that 2v2.
Yeah, certainly very strong, and the miscommunication perhaps between Trick and Perks. I like the adaptation from this Yasuo. He didn't ult straight after the tornado connected. Wanted the second one to follow it up, but Frozen had too much pressure and was able to just completely zone him away.
And of course G2 wants to get on the Talia and not the Sejuani if they want to all in with everything they got, but they couldn't land anything onto Frozen. Looking for a play in the top lane.
There's only 3 of them. It feels like it's a pressure
Hurricane.
game.
Be about 2 through there. Beautiful Howling Gale into the last breath. That's the hit onto Patton. They just used quite a bit in the top lane for that fight, so his ultimate was not up. G2 takes advantage.
Good roam there from Perks, and some serious damage already being dealt from him. That's a tower now for G2. First one in the game, so they get the gold lead back. Still lost that Infernal Drake from earlier.
Yeah, surprisingly, Perks just coming up to the top lane. No jungler to be seen, no Trick, and it's still a successful dive in between turrets. Crash was nowhere near there in time. And suddenly G2, with the first turret gold, start to break open the map.
So important Perks gets the kills here. You want that Infinity Edge for him as fast as possible. And then if he goes to a side lane, no one can stop him 1v1. It's just a quick roam up in that top lane. Frozen is in base with the Talia, so he can't help. And as soon as you hit the Hurricane, you're going to get that kill. I think if you are Patton here, just as soon as you see the Howling Gale, flash. Like, you know you're going to get ulted right after. Play it safe.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing there is it actually interrupted his jump.
Exactly.
He didn't flash away, and so he's made to pay for it by G2. Mithy's the real MVP in this situation, somehow hitting the Tornado, aggressively diving.
And repping the Fnatic skin as well on the Janna here, sending some love to one of the other European teams that already made the top 8.
Yes, they have. Locked in their quarterfinal spot. Now, G2 and Fenerbahce doing what they can to just put another victory under their belt here throughout the group stages. And a pretty back and forth game so far. The gold lead in favor of G2, but we're seeing Frozen and the team collapse quite well on these fights. G2 doing a little bit of that more now as Perkz is getting his roam on. And now he's towards the top side, going to start controlling a side lane.
Gotta question the fully completed Spirit Visage right now on Thulgrin's side. It is mainly just physical damage you're dealing with. There is some magic damage, so I get the idea behind it. Also, when you're laning against the Cho'Gath, then you want that extra healing. But I think just stacking a bit more armor in the early game is better, because you will have some fights very soon in this game here. G2 will try and push up the pace, and this Maokai is not very tanky against most of the members of G2 at the moment.
Yeah, definitely the case. Of course, the Rage Blade has a bit of mixed damage. It's not a crazy amount. It could very easily have been some kind of armor item for sure, or even just go towards a Chain Vest or something else before you finish going for a Spirit Visage.
You can take a cowl maybe, and then say, now I just want a fully completed armor item and my Ninja Tabby for the first fight.
It's just a great single item, right?
Love it, love it. Anyway, small things. Probably won't be a big deal for him, as long as he can complete that armor item before the next fight.
And while we're speaking about top laners, though, something else that is a very small thing that sometimes is very cool to see is when Cho'Gaths are playing in the top lane, you don't eat a lane minion. You go to the Scuttle Crab, you get rid of it. That way the Maokai doesn't know that it's on cooldown if they don't have vision of you taking that. And they may be more hesitant of you actually doing that in future. Of course, he's not going to do it here. I just talk about it to see him ruin my hopes and dreams. He did it top lane once before already.
Absolutely.
You're lying to the viewers?
I am doing no such thing.
Oh, see what the push is here. A little chuckle from Expect as he is enjoying himself in lane, about 20 CS up. Only falling quite early to that hit. 28.9 to 27.5.
He is power spiking so hard, Perkz, on his Yasuo. He's ready to
get that Wrath, dude. It'll keep going if he can get those kills assists.
Like
keep that baby going.
Of having 100% crit. But he's gone for the elixir to power spike sooner.
It has to happen now. Impulse buys are a thing. It's okay. It's okay, as long as you don't do them all the time.
Well, he's in the top lane, looking for Frozen up here. Obviously, Ninja Tabby already for Frozen, and the Exhaust is available, but Cleanse against it. There's a big minion wave Perkz can use to dance around in, but probably wants to just secure the CS first. And also gotta respect that Crash, once again, is here to ruin the party.
That sounded kind of backhanded.
Well, he's not named Crash for no reason.
Could have said Crash the party, but I'm like, nah, you know what?
There you go. There you go. So Rift Herald towards the mid lane. That'll bring it down just below half and should be finished off here by Sven. Able to crush through that Rage Blade up. Oh, there you go. Great job, Shelly.
Good use of the Herald to get themselves the mid lane out of turret. Still going. Yeah, get it. Work that turret.
Cheer it on. Frozen, roaming down towards the bot side. Blows him off. Just made it. Actually, Mithy got bumped by that one, but his movement speed allowed him through.
Good play once again. Sadly, no minions for them to actually hit the tower. It is solo. Give Patton just a few seconds, and it's gone. Yeah, we have a Yasuo behind him, and the Cho'Gath incoming.
That teleports.
He got the red elixir.
Cruising in. Oh, passive movement speed gets frozen out of the rupture. Now he can't choose a target. Chapone says, do not eat me. I'm out of here. And he keeps himself alive with the wild growth. 19 minutes on the clock, and got the teleport down. So a little time wait here for G2, as they already have control over
that fight sucked, man. That was supposed to be something huge. There's no knock-up. Perkz got CC'd instantly as well, and while G2 can get a Drake, the rest of FB are pushing towards the mid tower.
Yeah, it really didn't do it in the end of Fischio, but they'll take the objective. Mid lane's actually something that FB will not break either, surprisingly, as all of G2 went towards that Drake, and it's just because they cleared the mid wave, did their due diligence, prevented that. I mean, he's against the smite, but he tried his absolute hardest.
Oh, you cannot take a red buff away from a Yasuo player. That is not a smart move.
Reaching now. He's going to be reaching.
Oh, you just made him mad.
Isn't that what you want to do?
Well, yeah, but
against one?
Yeah, but he gets mad, you know, and takes over the game.
Or does he
Valid.
not take over the game?
Maybe he doesn't take over
Man.
the game, but I don't know, man. Crash playing with fire right there.
Risky decision.
1 second on Baron. I was going to say 6, and then I waited that long. So it's up. Live on the map, 4-2, 20 minutes in. And FB controlling that top side of the map. That was Perks just a bit ago, but now he doesn't really have a lane to split push in. He's getting pressure from Crash and Frozen. And the mid lane actually isn't being delivered any pressure from G2, so kind of a weird mismatch on the map. It looks like G2 is going to stop that towards the top side, though.
And there's definitely a world where G2 will go towards the Baron. Again, they've got so much damage they can place down with Sven, with Ardent Sensors on Anjana, and with Perks being there, let alone Trick also contributing a fair amount of damage, and having the flag to increase the attack speed. So there is a world where G2 go for this. And FB, they were on the bottom side of the map getting red buff. I was worried they would go for a gank or something. But G2, they have control and FB recognizes. Oh, they're fighting!
That was going to be huge. They were looking for the rupture for Perks. Don't have it just yet. Steel Tempest back through 2. Flashes over the Talia wall. And the Divide will set up the fight. Chain of Corruption locks down to 2 as the Piercing Arrow rocks the back line.
Whoa.
Trick in, Trick out. And it looks like that's enough. Not a lot of damage from the last breath. And it looks like Perks could be in a lot of trouble as he's in the middle of the frying pan. Cooked up and spit out. Trick now very low. Expect trying to be the last line of defense as Sven has stayed on the back line but hasn't been able to put in the DPS.
Yeah, that was a fight where both AD carries just stood back and fired away. No one could actually get to them. It was all about the Yasuo jumping in. The middle of the fight here. Patton gets the tower after the fight. 2 kills on his side. Red buff as well. Like, he's feeling very confident. And of course, we're all looking at Perks, but there are other carries here to notice.
Absolutely. Patton, one of the big reasons why that fight was successful, but most importantly, FB started the fight. They chose to take the fight, and they are the ones who get the mid lane out of turret as a result of all of this as they go forwards and make the play happen.
Yeah, early engage onto the Yasuo here. Force Perks to flash over the wall. So it's looking very good for FB at this point. A lot of damage unexpected. As we said here, Patton just left untouched in the back line. And it looks very flashy from Trick's side, but it's actually not that effective with his engage. And ends up just being, in the end, that 1-1 because Sven, funny enough, gets enough time to just hit the Sejuani.
And I don't think you often get a chance to see offense Janna being the engage tool for every Yasuo ultimate, but that's twice now that we've seen it happen. Once it worked, once it definitely did not.
Oh, let's see. Yes, just bought the GA. Would suck to lose it instantly. Perks with the defensive buy, knowing he's diving into the backline of multiple tanks and a Lulu to ruin Yasuo's day.
It didn't rush the Infinity Edge. Didn't want 100% crit or to maximize his damage out.
Slightly disappointed, I will admit.
The Elixir wore off too. It's just a disaster for Perks.
Looks like they're going to be running out of this one. Oh, Crash. Ultimate up and sees 5 members, but the team just not in range for that engage and follow up. Looks like they are going to start pushing G2 around now, but it's more so G2 as well. They could turn these fights around. They just have to set it up first.
And have to rely on Sven actually dealing most of the damage. Sure, there might be distractions flying around left and right if there's some knockups, but ideally your Hurricane Rage Blade Varus sits there and deals, what was it, 1500 damage per minute from Prey.
Certainly was.
We had yesterday. Sven will have to do exactly the same in this game here to burn through the tanks.
Also known as the ouchies. Very, very technical term. Oh, it looks like we will have a quick pause here. 23.5 minutes into the game. 5-3 lead here for Fenerbahce, as we did see a little pressure towards the Baron from G2 just now. They're ready to start kind of flexing those muscles, seeing if Fenerbahce will kind of bite, and I believe we'll get quite a bit more of that. The outer line of turrets are down, so let the fights begin much more.
There's enough engage on G2's side to start Baron, wait for enemy team to walk into the river, and then instantly just turn around and engage with the Jarvan and the Yasuo flying in. A lot of teams in this meta, they struggle around Baron because if you start the Baron, you can't really get to the enemy backline, and then the Ardent Sensei carries is left to shooting at you, and you can't win the fight. But when you have this much engage on their side, they can actually do it and use it as a baiting tool.
It's interesting, though, when you break down G2's draft and say there is a lot of engage. There definitely is, but if you're running a Yasuo combo composition, then the Jarvan can't just ult to engage. Usually they'll flag, drag, then ult to cover distance, and then go forwards, and that's the engage tool. But if you use those 2 spells to be in ult range, well, then Yasuo loses one of the many opportunities to actually get the knock-up or to get the follow-through with a wombo.
We get the flash Q from Mythi. or from expect landing it. But at least if you get the enemy close enough.
It's almost guaranteed. If you flash Zephyr, they're slowed, you hit it. 100%. Why wouldn't you want that?
It's true.
Every 5 minutes.
Every Janna player at home, take notes right there. The way to play team fights is flash forward. Land your slow.
How long is the game? You can do it 6 times in a 30-minute game. Boom. Statistics.
You can
Anyways.
use the cooldown on your flash.
You know, at first I was going to say Sven could engage, but I think you've sold me. It should just always be Janna. There's no reason not to have a Janna flash forwards. No, don't actually do that.
So looking at Expect here, he is having a visual bug with death timers. Those are kind of imperative to know, so we're going to get him restarted back into the game. Should be fixed up quite quickly as we wait for the teams to once again basically back and forth on the top side, a little bit of the mid game, but it doesn't seem like G2 really want to commit to these fights.
No, and it's been a good game from FB's side. They've actually been able to kind of control the Yasuo in the early game. Crash spent a lot of time around Frozen, first in the mid lane, then after they moved out to the side lanes, he was there again, kind of protecting his Talia, making sure that there was no snowball happening. And now they've just been looking for big 5-on-5 team fights, which is exactly what they want to do. Patton is sitting on 2 fully completed items, Talia 2 completed items as well. We know how strong both of them are in fights, and they just want to basically get out of any sort of situation where Yasuo is running wild in the side lanes, 1v1ing people, and just 5-on-5.
Yeah, and that's the duo that we should be highlighting as well. The two that can talk to each other fluently on the side of FB. They're trying to avoid that early skirmish in that early 2v2, getting to team fights, places that you want to find yourselves. But Talia's ability to start the fights off seems to be what is going to help FB the most here. But the real win that they have is that Crash placing vision around Frozen is one of the easiest things for them to do. Just because, firstly, their mid laner can push, so he's going to have control and the ability to leave, but they can also communicate where they want those wards to go. It's the most important 2v2 for FB as a team, just because Crash is an emergency substitution. He's not going to be able to talk to the rest of the roster, and they just have to trust that the 2v2 is going well, as Frozen is the mid to late game shot caller for the roster as well.
Looking at the gold as well in the inventories, quite low. Most people under 500, a few just under 1,000. Kind of tells the story that we may get a bit more time on the map between the teams, possibly a fight in the next few minutes as they try to build up to that next item, because a lot of core items were actually just finished. Not too many recipes close to that mark just yet, so quite ready for the fights. It looks like update from league officials, players are going to play through.
Perfect. You mentioned
we are going to take a quick look at the last fight before we get back into game.
Yep, and the last fight, as you mentioned, I mean, the item spikes was something that was here for this one. And what we mentioned during this is that Talia is able to come in and lock a lot of people out. Just watch Trick. He doesn't know when to go forward. He has no real opportunity to go in there. Sven does do a lot of work here, though, I will say, Divicio, with Mithy to try and give G2 something. Yeah,
and then we see the engagement Trick only gets a knock-up on the Sejuani, not what you want, and it's actually the next knock-up that lands on the Frozen that Yasuo can use, but you're standing now in a group of 5 members, and that's kind of the thing with this current meta is it is just big 5-on-5 team fights, and with Exhaust and champions like Lulu, you have a lot of protection against these backline threats like a Yasuo.
Yeah, there are some champions that seems to still do okay in a meta like this for any kind of split pushing, any kind of pressure. Kassadin is one that comes to mind. Still can assassinate, but is actually kind of relevant in certain contexts. Yasuo very rarely is, because he's not a teleport user like what a Kassadin can be. And I feel like that's where the big part of it starts to go missing for them. So here we are.
All right, back onto the Rift and back into the action. Just under 25 minutes in as the players reset a little bit here mentally and are once ready to go 110%. Crash and Perks meeting in the jungle, and FB has been controlling a lot of that vision.
Exactly, it's the same setup again. Whenever Frozen is in the top lane, Crash is in the jungle next to him with wards, spotting G2 to see if anything is happening, because when you are sitting as a Talia, it's very easy for Trick and Perks to just go up 2 members and jump him and try and surprise him, and you can kill him very quickly. But with this protection and with this division, it's just not happening. And we're waiting now for both teams to kind of play around the Baron. There's a Cloud Ray coming. That's going to be a quick one to take down, and then it's just straight on to Baron base.
You mentioned before the pause riv that the arena is effectively set for these guys as the outer turrets have started to drop. But it also means that the arena is longer and harder to traverse, especially if you're FB trying to get through the vision that is being placed deep from G2 now defensively on the flip side as well. Can they get in and break a structure, knowing that G2 will just willingly throw themselves at them to try and get some engages?
Ooh, looks like Perk wanted to get over that wall and willingly throw himself in for a second. The rest of the team wasn't too close, so I think G2 is flexing their muscles a little bit and saying, you know what? We are ready to fight. We had that Baron just before the pause, and we were serious about it. We're going to set up once again. So clearing out, finally getting that red buff. FB's trying to deny it from Perkz and Sven. Unsuccessful. We'll see how this fight goes.
Yeah, try to do this power play with Cho'Gath where you ignore your side lane and just rush Baron because you can feast it. So you can secure it. There's no 50-50 smites happening. But they didn't actually pull the trigger here, so right now a big wave just died bot lane, dealing a lot of damage to the turret. Expect it's on its way. G2 just kind of slowing down quite a bit, and that's fine for FB. You know, they just want 3 items on both their carries.
Yep.
They're gonna keep taking team fights.
Adaptive Helm as well finished onto Trick. Even more resistances for G2 to stay in these fights even longer. Perkz to dash around. Sven to keep the autos up with that Storm Shield on from Mithy. See where they go for here. Frozen's going to take towards the top side. Looks like we might get these two splitting just a little bit. Crash will leave him for this time. So we'll see if Frozen gets himself into trouble up here and stay safe and really give G2 some problems.
And Sven is going towards the Prey build, the 1500 damage per minute build. He may not do that much damage per minute.
Oh, I thought it was just get the build and you will deal the damage.
He's going to have the build to do the damage for certain minutes of the game. He's going for the Blade of the Ruined King, and that is just big against Warmog's users, against Gargoyle's Stoneplate purchasers as well.
Meanwhile, Perkz is further delaying his Infinity Edge with the build here, going for Last Whisper. So he's trying to have a bit more damage against the big tanks, but obviously that won't really help him a whole lot against Patton specifically. There is a lot of armor being stacked on Frozen's side, so there's a bit of bonus effects there, but Yasuo typically do not need to rush early armor penetration.
No, never really need to at all.
And he's doing it in this game, which is quite surprising.
Hit Crash just dodges out of that one, but it looks like you can chomp down here. Expect doesn't take him out. It's Sven. Nature's Grasp goes across. Frozen's on the other side of the wall, and he's blocked G2, but
you say Sven rip. I say that Last Whisper board right there from Perkz. Taking down Crash.
Oh boy. It looks like they're onto Frozen now. Can anybody follow up? The kite coming in. And it looks like he's going to be able to only get a little bit more distance. Unravels the earth under G2's feet, but they pulled a rug out from under Frozen.
They'll get themselves the picks. And now with 2 dead, one of them being the jungler, G2 naturally will move over towards the Baron. Thaldren's nearby. Patton is still here.
Oh, the Flash Monsoon initiation coming in from Mithy. That's going to be Perkz following through as well. Thaldren throwing back the Bramble Smash to lock up the fight. And Patton is looking to the side, right through his sights, delivering the damage, but it's not enough DPS to take down Expect. Follows through forward, one last shot, and bada bing, bada boom, Expect goes down.
Suddenly, we get all kinds of weird engages happening from G2's side, but they couldn't actually kill anyone the second time, and Baron is being started by FB here. Patton, he's getting stronger and stronger.
Shadow Flash engages just don't work, but a bunch of him moving to the Baron. They might be able to get this. Trick is just around the corner, though.
Oh,
no, it's not.
Just a few. Trying to hop away. Looks like he's going to live through that one with little W damage. And here comes G2 coming back in, but they have Frozen as well.
But they didn't kill Trick yet. He's on his way. Baron is going very low, though. He got to go in instantly.
He's in 900, 875. Oh, wow, so early on the smite from both junglers. Auto down, and it goes to Crash. They are going in for the fight now as they take down it's Trick and Sven. It's like catch. What's going on in the fight? 28-30 in, and back and forth. That Baron was definitely grabbable.
But in the end, FB gets everything. He got a few more kills. They got the Baron itself. They're getting a mid lane tower. Trick was very close for the second time today. But he kept stealing that Baron. But in the end, it doesn't even matter because FB gets it.
Yeah, there's still 2 people dead for G2 with the Baron going to the Sejuani. What felt like a random flail thrown in whilst he was also hitting Trick. And that just opens up the base for them. FB are starting to run away.
Successfully.
With the game.
Yes.
Not running away.
I liked it. Let's see how they ran away with the game right here, really getting onto Trick. And I can't wait to see the HP for the Baron, but Trick did a great job of keeping himself around here.
Yeah, because first Patton ran away from Baron itself to kill Trick, but then he ran back in towards the Baron, and it got so close. While Sven was trying to deal damage and keep them busy. Let's see, he jumps in, Baron is down to 800.
87.
It just regained a little bit of HP as well.
He smoted
it was his smite. I thought it was his auto. I did not see the smite from the sky, and then it just kind of, FB's able to collapse.
Yeah, Perks also flashes away at the end, makes sure he gets out of the pit and exits the arena. Very close from Trick, I'll give him that one. Close is not going to secure the Baron, and it loses them an inhibitor as well.
That only means G2 can funnel FB right into that front door of another side of the base. That's perfect for ultis, knockups, Howling Gale.
You're saying it's a strategy. Yeah. The long con right there, like fall behind, get into our base, small interest. Yeah, I can see it.
Wham bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yasuo does excel at taking minions.
Perks in a 2v1, waiting for Expected to come around the corner as he lumbers his way through as a giant Shogath this game. Those 3 kills here on to Sven, giving him a bit of power if he can find positioning on that back line. We've seen it actually from Sven and Padden. Neither of them are really getting in, and it's only going to be Padden's advantage is that Tristana gains range and will be able to hit eventually from the outside.
He's very strong. 3 fully completed items. Got the last Whisper. That's so important in the current meta against all these big tanks. A lot of damage on
another
30.
turret.
They need some sort of engage from G2 side.
The funnel in isn't enough. A great spread from FB doesn't really allow any 2 people to be initiated on. That's what G2 is looking for. Crash is just a pin cushion right now for Sven, and he gets out alive. Nature's Grasp goes forward. They have so many tools for zoning with the Taliyah, the Maokai. It's hard for G2 to step forward at this point.
So little they can actually do to see second inhib fall now. FB in full control, still looking for that first win in this group stage here for them after qualifying through the play-ins as well.
And it was good from Frozen to block them all off, use the Taliyah wall, and prevent any kind of engage.
This Taliyah wall's been spot on in this game.
Yeah, there certainly have been, and now with it not available, the question comes across of can G2 engage? And Mithy's got Flash, but he doesn't have Monsoon, so it'll have to be a Q.
They're going to have to wait then. It's going to be big. Steel Tempest getting charged up by Perks on the side. Just misses his targets as we're watching Sven on the top as well. Padden's taking a few turret shots, but he's really getting the temp to the fight in for G2 and doing more damage in that sense. They're going to be able to take down another turret, and they are just doing this uncontested, really.
Yeah, there's no minions to help them, so it's going to take an awful long time against the Janna. However, they are poking it down, whittling the health bar of the last remaining structure, waiting perhaps for the Taliyah wall.
I don't know if they have enough time to take down Expect for that Weaver's wall, but they do lock out a lot of the damage. Frozen actually gets himself on the right side. It's Perks going in his last breath along with G2 as they try to take down 1907 Fenerbahce. A few kills come through, and that Staldron and Padden, a lot of the damage is gone. Where can G2 go?
Well, let's see. They can actually try and push up, maybe get a tower here. There is a Cloud Drake alive, but you want more. Perks is looking for some kills here.
Oh, he got it, gets the flash over. Beautifully done to get that extra follow-up damage of Steel Tempest.
Oh, he might even fight Crash. Who's next?
Oh.
Not Crash.
No, that was just a good game.
Good game.
But he gets the kill. Very clean stuff from Perks, throwing the tornado, max range hitting it, and flashing with confidence, knowing that he's just that good at throwing the Qs out that he'll connect it.
And we got to see that fight again as well, because Padden got chain CC'd, and then everyone from G2 just used the ulti to kill it. That was Feast, that was Yasuo. Let's see it again here. What is it that connects onto him? The first one misses from Expect. Long range tornado from Mithy on the way. Nope, not hitting either.
Does he get himself in there?
It's just Trick going in with the engage, and then you get everyone piling on to Padden.
Yeah, one piece of knockup connects, the rest are sure to follow. And that's the hard part of being against a knockup composition. Basically, it's very hard to cleanse and get out of unless you have a flash up with it.
And you got to have your eyes everywhere, because if you get knocked up once, you probably get knocked up a few more times. So very difficult to get out of. We just saw G2, as I said, funnel them in, guys.
There you go.
Get right in front of the base.
Against a lot of knockups in this game as well. If you have a QSS and you use it when you get knocked up and then spam your flash, you can actually get out of it as well. And he's doing that in this game here on Padden's side.
We're starting to see the real strategy, though, Deficio in this game. And is losing 2 inhibitors to funnel minions into the base. Look at the CS advantages that everyone's getting. The only reason this game is so close in gold. There's a lot owed to minions.
That's true. There's a lot of fun. Another good wall here coming in. Perks is on the wrong side of it.
Rinse and repeat. Every time the Weaver's wall is up, they want a little bit more damage on the inhibitor turrets, and it's been working, but G2's getting stronger. So they're able to stave off a little bit of the pressure each time.
We had a flash engage last time from Trick to guarantee the knockup. Not available this time around here Vintage is completed on the Yasuo, so some serious damage coming down. But once again, FB are in control. They have a great team fight comp. They just need to make sure Frozen or Pat will not get knocked up during the engage.
They don't need minions. Janna can't shield an inhibitor as well, so they're choosing the correct lane to get in and start to pressure. The risk of coming into the middle lane is being funneled against. It's really flashed.
Trick very low, but he can really just facilitate the fight. He wants the HP to do a little bit more than that and also participate. And it looks like they lose the inhibitor for that. Great catch by FB to deplete Trick's health bar enough to get in and out safely. Baron is now alive. They will head back out. Vision, breadcrumb wards left thoroughly through the jungle, so they know where G2 is coming from. It looks like they're going to start this up and crush it down.
They are coming, G2. Can they get there in time is the question. It looks like they can.
It's going to be 2,000. 1,000 on it. Couldn't get over the wall. Locked into place. Nicely done by Crash, keeping his eyes in multiple places.
Whoa.
And a few shots from Pat. It means G2 has to head for the hills on this one. It's all about defending that top inhibitor now. And it's going to be a quick clear from Expect before he joins the team.
Good call right there from FB, using that big Maokai ulti as well. They still want to kill this tower. Last time they were up here, they lost the fight. This time around, they got Baron buff.
I think they're going to Weaver's Wall.
We've seen it before, like 5 times, I believe.
Has Perks tried to win wall?
Now they're going to make me a liar.
Oh,
just an initiation of 1 onto Frozen. Is that too much, though? Do they have the follow-up damage? A big heal. The Redemption Monsoon coming out of mid. He puts Trick back into a fighting position with the rest of the team. G2 going forward, but they're just missing. They're being out-kited. Japone and Patton turning around to fight back and delivering the damage. Piercing arrows flying through, but nobody's falling just yet. Slivers of help as they try to limp away from the fight. A draw between the 80 carries, and it's left now to the rest of the teams.
That was a 1-for-1, just the 280 carries hitting each other in the end and actually killing each other at the same time. Baron buff is still here with the minions. Trick is back out to try and defend. There's another wall coming in.
I guess it's a goodbye wall, because they are going to recall after throwing that one out, so FB will call it a day. And you're right, the only trade in the end was just the 80 carries. But you will see that Expect is the reason the trade was only 80 carries. As the fight breaks out from Perks, just keep your eyes on the Cho'Gath when he thinks he has an opportunity in about 5 seconds.
We're following him. He's on his way in there. The big Cho'Gath.
His eyes are on Frozen. That's the freest kill he's ever seen in his life. Like, it's juicy and it's Crash.
Ah! Crash right in front of him. All right, let's see the 80 carry standoff right here. Sven looks at Patton, looks him in the eyes, saying he can take this one. Bam, bam, hit each other, smack, smack, and everyone dies.
Why are you play-by-playing?
Because that's all I got, man.
That
was my one move I just used there.
See the damage actually delivered between these two. Expect getting to be chunked down by Patton, Thaldrin chunked down by Sven, and in the end, they put each other 6 feet under. Now spawned again, once again with their teams. 1 minute and 30 onto that Elder Drake. The Baron is still down for a bit here. Got a quarter of that time left on to FB. So it looks like they'll try to once again utilize it towards that top side.
Persistence is key, Riv. They're back towards top.
How is this tower still alive? Like, it's actually insane. They've been up here such a long time. Mythy shields it, and then the wall from Frozen, but they just can't take it down. All right, come on. They got 45 seconds on this Baron here.
It's literally an explosive shot, like 3 hits.
Yeah, basically.
But there's the Storm Shield. Goes out. He can probably do that again in 2 seconds at this point. And it looks like they are waiting patiently. They feel like G2 is going to make one wrong move, step a little too far out, and that'll be a bit of a catch, just like the damage they had on Trick before. None of that is happening that much easier. Patton getting in front. It's a turret tank.
Kill the tower! The tower! Yeah, they did it!
It's gone. Trick tries to go in. That's not the knockup, though. Wild Growth very early onto Patton as they jump out. Damage onto Crash as he tries to deliver the last bit of crowd control for his team to persevere. As Thaldrin stands on the front line tall in between 3. He gets the last breath from Yasuo, and they flash forward towards Patton now. Huge damage coming out as he buster shots back. And what a fight for both teams.
They hold the base again, though, Riv. I don't know if they can push out from this base. They should be able to in about 10 to
In
20
the end,
seconds,
I think
though.
it's going to happen, Rusty.
And what they will look towards is in the top left of your screen, it's an Elder Dragon if they're going to push out for anything.
And we've seen so many fights now where the damage from Sven, specifically on this Varus, just seems to be much more effective at actually killing the first tank. Because Patton and Frozen can't stand still and just shoot. They have to kite around all the time. They have to dodge multiple knockups. Otherwise, they might die. Sven literally stands still and just fires at the first thing in front of him. And that's enough to actually kill a tank on the side of FB.
Here they go. Elder Dragon is here, as is Crash. And there he goes.
Over the wall. We didn't expect anything different. Still has a little bit to get in. Has to wait for the cooldown. May not be able to make it in time. A little bit of a reset on that Elder. 2,500 in. They're waiting to blast it down. They want the fight possible. It goes to Trick and the rest of the team. They get a big buff in damage. And 1907 Fenerbahce is going to have an even harder time cracking the base again.
We got every single inhib alive. Apparently their late game strategy of lose your inhibs and the Barons so that the enemy team will just funnel farm towards you is currently working for G2 Esports. They're still down in gold, but at this point it doesn't really matter a whole lot.
Yeah, their combat stats are probably a bit higher than what is not reflected through the gold just there. It is a lead for FB. The map control still belongs to them, but we are seeing G2 start to stretch out their wings a bit more, push their luck and control some vision. With the Elder Dragon buff, they should be able to do it rather successfully.
Yeah, they can sneak a few wards into their own jungle, being like, yes, we did it. We can see the enemy for a few seconds. Not really moving out further. You gotta also always respect potential backdoors when you have obviously these open inhibs, but luckily there's no way for FB to actually finish the game with the backdoor. The Nexus turrets have not really been touched a whole lot in this game.
We have reset completely though. They've brought this back to the middle of the lane, in mid lane, and given G2 an opportunity to advance.
We just gotta look in these fights here at how Frozen and Patton are not able to get enough damage off against the tanks on the side of G2. While Sven, as I said before, is just left untouched because there is no one who can really dive onto him and kill him. Also with that Janna in. So Patton is doing his best to deal enough damage, but it's a Cho'Gath and a Jarvan who's jumping in and out of the fight, and then constant CC trying to connect onto Pat. That's keeping him busy every time.
Right back towards the Baron. 45 seconds. It looks like the minion waves are pushed up decently. Fenerbahce could have used a few more towards the bot side, but I don't think they have time.
Oh, he missed
with how fast G2 is ready to go for this Baron. Flash down for Trick means one flag in. He can't get out with that Cataclysm.
And also he can't EQ in, as Rusty highlighted earlier, and then actually flash for the knock-up. That's a big one for FB here.
Good point.
Don't worry, Mythy has flash. They'll be able to engage one way or another. Expect also been in every fight. He's never been split pushing, so they've still got opportunities, and the best Yasuos in the world don't need other people to hit that knockup.
Who
They've
is
got themselves.
the best Yasuo in the world?
Rookie. I'm just going to throw it out there.
There we go. There we go. Challenge onto whatever other member or other player plays.
You disagree with me? I've probably forgotten the other Yasuos. He's the only one I remember.
That's honest, though.
I think it's okay. I think you could have definitely said a lot of, you know, weirder things. I think Rookie's okay.
Has he played at a Worlds, though?
Rip
like,
that
going
fight,
down, it doesn't matter.